Okay. That's the person, and then, sorry. Okay, good, thank you. Want to make sure. And then somebody just joined us. Yeah, I guess we'll see who that person is once we
Hello,
start
how are
talking.
you? I'm introducing myself. My name is, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Hi, my name is Justin. I am the general manager of Strains for Life, a new cannabis dispensary that just opened up on 145th Street and Broadway in July.
Very good. So I'm glad that you joined us. I stopped by and I
Thank
was
you.
that you guys, somebody would come, and I'm glad you're doing that. And
Yes.
so we're getting ourselves situated.
Okay.
And yes, I remember you. I recognize you.
Hi, Justin.
Good to see you.
So we are a few minutes in. We expect a few other people to join us and hopefully soon. But we're going to be mindful of the time, and once again are very grateful that you were able to join us. And I guess we can maybe wait until 6:40 and just get started, and then we'll see where it takes us. And I'm so sorry, Pascal. I mean, I don't know if you want to show a presentation or speak and disengage in that way, but you came, and I want you to be able to address everything.
No, I will address everything. I live in Central,
So she gonna.
I'm just gonna catch an Uber home.
Oh, okay. Oh my
So that I
God.
can make sure that I can log down too.
Okay.
Well, what about the phone? You can't.
I have a presentation for you.
So
So
that's
I'm from the Office of Accounts.
Oh.
Yeah, she's from OCM. So
I have because there were two things Monique wanted me to review. And so
Yes.
I created a presentation specifically based on France.
thank you.
So I want to edit the like that.
So there you go. All right. Well, better you caught it now than not. So
Yes, but also though, like some things don't need to be here, and the initial conversation, the email you're gonna send me, this is why.
this is
So
why
it was not wasted.
it wasn't. It's never a waste.
That's right.
So all right, Pascal. We'll see you shortly.
Yeah.
So we are going to I guess we'll start. We don't have to be as formal because there's a small gathering of us, but this is our first meeting for the fall. And so we're very happy to kick this off and use this as an opportunity to introduce ourselves as the two co-chairs for this task force. And since there aren't that many people on here, I don't necessarily have to share the agenda. Unless, Justin, did you see the agenda?
You're on.
I do have the agenda in front of me, yes.
Okay, right now there's nobody else on, so we'll talk through, and if other people jump on, then I'll pull the agenda up. But we're gonna call the meeting to order. The time will be 6:40 or is 6:40, and we are going to adopt an agenda that has been shared with everyone who's on board. And would you like to make a motion to adopt the agenda, Shante?
Yes,
Okay, so I make a motion to adopt the agenda and you are going to second it.
I second the motion.
Very good. And we also want people to, if you didn't get a chance to, you might not have seen this, Justin, but you should have, Leo. I had sent notes that we took in June. We're very transparent. We try to, when we're meeting with anybody or, partnering or doing outreach, we share our minutes and any notes that we take, because it's about transparency. And so the notes that we took and shared with people, and I can certainly share it with you, Justin, but in June, we had another person who wanted to open up a legal dispensary. And these are the notes that we took when we spoke with that person. And that's what we normally do when there is going to be a legal dispensary wanting to open up. We like to meet with that entity and just learn more about what they want to do. So those are notes that we shared. And there's really not much to them, but we can certainly adopt the notes for June. So I make a motion to adopt those notes for June. And would you like to second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Shante. So those notes have been adopted, and there we go. So once again, welcome. I want to take a moment to introduce myself as one of the co-chairs. I've been co-chairing this task force now for at least 3 years. I think it's 3 years. I don't think it's 4. And we thought as a community board, it was very important to have a task force addressing this particular issue in terms of cannabis and the legalization and how it would impact RCB. And I know that we created a definition, and one of the first lines in the definition, when we did create this task force was, the Cannabis Task Force was established to ensure our community is informed, involved, and engaged in this new emerging industry. I think that first sentence says it all, and there are other things that are in the definition. Certainly, our goal is to review and to engage and to follow up on issues that pertain to our community. And of course, to engage the residents, be it new people who are opening up or trying to open up, or engage our residents so that they are aware and we can remove any myths that might be involved or any concerns involved with the opening of a dispensary. And then, of course, working on the OCM guidelines, or just with the Office of OCM, when they first came out and they had a number of guidelines and regulations, our community board was one of the first community boards that were very vigilant in terms of going through all those guidelines and trying to provide feedback and work as a partner so that we could see this initiative take off and roll out in a very smooth and effective way. And our person who is from OCM, who I know is stepping away, but when she jumps on, I know she can attest to how hard we worked to make sure that when this whole thing was coming, rolling out into the community, it could do so in a very smooth way. So I'll share the definition of our task force as a reminder of why we established it. Now, Shantae, maybe you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, so hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Shantae Styles. I am the co-chairman of the Cannabis Task Force. I myself have a cannabis cultivation license certification as well. I work presently right now with CNN under Warner Brothers. And I am brand new to the community board as well. And this is my first time sitting as a co-chair. And I absolutely appreciate the fact that this is happening, because as a person who uses cannabis, also, I want people to understand that there are some benefits. There are, ways that we can educate our neighborhood, and especially with the dispensaries, and how that can also be a productive and just educational way to let our neighbors know, that we want you to be comfortable. We want you to understand, and we want you to know who your people that are working the dispensaries are. We want to involve you in in this community, so that way, people will not have to think of it as like this kind of taboo-ish, lifestyle or whatever that is, whatever, they may have to think about it, when there are so many great benefits for, marijuana or cannabis use. So yes,
Very good.
thank you.
Maybe you want to say something,
I'll quickly
Leo?
introduce myself.
Please.
Name is Leonel Arias. I'm one of the owners of Midnight Moon, which is the dispensary on 136 in Amsterdam. So happy to meet you, Justin, virtually. Haven't met you,
Likewise.
but heard good things. And yeah, no, I went to Community Board 9 event in the summer, and I'm here just to show support and further introduce cannabis to the community. As Shante was saying, there's another.
God bless.
That should change.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Justin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Justin Stewart. I've been in the cannabis industry legally for some time now, for about 2 years. I am the general manager of Strains for Life, which is located on 145th and Broadway. And I've come from, I'm a legacy guy. I come from my legacy days, and I have a background in business and hospitality management. So it just made sense for me to just combine my two things, and here I stand. So just very happy to be here and introducing myself to the neighborhood of Harlem, me being from Brooklyn, born and raised. So just getting acclimated with the neighborhood, and yeah, very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Very good. So, in following the agenda, we are looking at force goals. So, I read the first sentence of the description as it pertains to our task force. Our goal was to educate and to engage those in our community. And you can see on the two bullets that we have noted are to educate and empower our community. And we want to do that by looking to host events in the community, and we can talk about that more in a minute. And then another goal that we would like to try to execute, which we haven't done before, is to host a meeting in the community. So rather than having people come here and meet, which is there's no problem, of course, but we also want to meet people where they are, where they are, because we feel that there are still a lot of people who aren't aware or have misgivings, and we want to make sure we address them. So our another goal that we're looking to achieve is to host two task force meetings in the community to engage community members further. So it might be at a shop, literally at one of your shops, or at a community center, maybe at one of what I say, grant houses.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Manhattanville.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It could be at maybe at their community center, but somewhere in the community so that we're able to just be visible, bring information to people, and people don't have to kind of, go sneaking around
Right.
because they know that it's perceived as something negative.
I think it's also important that, we do educate, like we said, the neighborhood, letting them know, because even when I was doing my classes and courses, there were little things like I didn't know, like, like we, sometimes we have youth that they just, it happens, but we can teach the parents or whatever, like, listen, at this age, they shouldn't be doing this until after 22, because that's where their brain cells are really, working. Or, we can have these events for the older people that may be confused about it or don't know how to go about getting, or purchasing it. We want them to feel safe and be able to say, well, I went to this event that the community board had. They had two of the managers or the owners of their dispensaries, and they gave us a full course of different strands that is helping me for my cataract, that's helping me for my cancer, that's helping me for my eating disorder. So that would be, I think, something that we can also discuss as time goes on. But those are some of the things as far as events that we were thinking about putting together, and that can also help you guys with getting some customers, to steadily come through as well. People now will be comfortable. They'll be like, oh, you got to see my guy, Justin, or you got to go to Moonlight, So that's what I think the engagement would be important.
Right.
Mhm.
In terms of meeting logistics, and it's not obviously such a big deal now because we don't have a lot of people here, but what I spoke to with Shantae was to make sure, as I stated, the goal is to meet, to be efficient, and to share information. And first of all, this is being recorded, so it'll be available on our website for people to go to if they want information about anything that we've discussed. And we do have somebody from the Office of Cannabis Management who was here and will join us shortly. And whatever information she'll be sharing, I'm sure will be useful to both of you. But as we conduct these meetings, our goal is to, this isn't relevant to any of you here because you're considered public members, but what we are gonna try to do, our goal this year is to get a notice out far enough in advance so that people are able to be with us. And right now, we're scheduled to meet on alternate months. So we're meeting now, in September. We won't meet again until November. But we'll see, maybe our need will change and we can do it more frequently. But also, if we have people coming to make a presentation, we'll try to kick that off at the beginning of the meeting. So that for people who may not be able to stay for the whole meeting, we can provide that information up front and then take care of the task force business later on. So those are just a few things to share with you. And to follow up on what Shantae said in terms of what we're hoping to achieve, if you look under past projects and events, we participated or helped to establish several events last year, which once again, the goal was to increase visibility, to share knowledge and information so that people in our community are more aware when it talks about cannabis. And, one of the things that I was hoping to get somebody from the Cannabis Workforce Initiative to join us, but they did a 5-week series here with the goal of receiving a certificate at the conclusion of the session. And I think they had other sessions that they were offering. And though we had a small number of people able to join us, it was something that we offered right here. And, our goal would be to do that again so that we are able to continue providing resources to the community in terms of workforce development. We participated, and I think Leo, you were there at the business conference or the business conference. Did you come to that
I
one?
went to the fourth one.
Okay.
Certification at the forum.
Well, since cannabis, the dispensary business anyway, is a business, we participated in that conference, workforce development conference that was held in June or May, actually, to talk about the business opportunities. And that's something that we always want to keep pressing, as well as making people aware that to get in cannabis, you don't have to open up a dispensary. There are other ancillary opportunities that you can get involved in, and we want to educate the community around that. Senior fair, we did. As Shantae mentioned, we know the highest growing population in terms of cannabis use, believe it or not, are seniors who use it for medicinal purposes. One downside for us is that we don't have enough medicinal, I was gonna say dispensaries, but access to medicinal cannabis uptown. A lot of people have to go downtown to get that.
Yeah.
And that's something we want to change so that people don't have to do that, because I know with the medicinal cannabis, I believe there's no taxing that occurs for people who have to purchase it.
So for
Is
the
that
medical
correct?
marijuana
Yeah.
license? Yeah, so I think, so from a medicinal perspective, any cannabis product could be medicinal. It's just a matter of dosage.
Right,
And for some medicinal individuals, they want a higher dose.
Right.
Even recreational will allow.
right,
So we have people who come in looking for edibles that are more than 100 milligrams per dose because they have a very high tolerance. But New York state law is 100 milligrams is for recreational. And then there is like a cost savings on the tax side. But my understanding is that a lot of the recreational cannabis is of higher quality
correct.
than the medicinal ones, because
Yeah.
there are different growers that are growing for the medicinal versus recreational.
You said, I'm sorry, that the recreational is of
It's
high
high,
quality
yeah.
Yeah.
versus the medicinal?
Mhm.
Yeah, especially when you combine the
You
flower.
wanna get ripped, girl. No.
Really? No.
Yeah.
That would be news to me, because I thought it was just the opposite. I thought the medicinal was more potent.
It's a higher potent for edibles.
Yeah.
But in terms of flower, more R&D dollars go into recreational because it's a much higher market.
Mhm.
So they build bigger facilities, they put more focus in growing higher quality buds because the recreational customer enjoys that. The medicinal customer is usually doing more edible form, and when they're smoking, they buy larger quantities, so they're getting more outdoor flower. One other thing I would mention is getting a hemp license
Oh,
to
yeah.
offer CBD focused products. Do you have a hemp license at Strains for Life, or are you only?
We do have a hemp CBD license, and starting very shortly, we will be offering CBD only products to some of our customers. We are noticing, I'm in our first 2 months, I'm noticing some of our older demographics. They want more of the healing aspect of cannabis as opposed to the getting high and recreational part. So we're having options for both.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's something new to me in terms of what you said. But I think the one thing that we push for, and we were talking about this, at least if you're going to a legal dispensary, you know what you're getting.
Mhm.
And that's what we want to stress, be it recreational or medicinal. People are, you
Yes.
stand behind your product. And there's a lot of stuff out there that's
Right.
no bueno.
Right, we
So-
we definitely want to encourage people to go to the dispensaries rather than buy it off of the street.
Mhm.
You know, that is what I mean, I would tell anybody, I would be safer going through, someone that is going to show you your product, you know what you're getting, your information is even on the product, everything that you need to know.
Correct.
Yes, is on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can get a
Yeah.
scannable COA that can tell you everything that's inside of your product. You're getting a more safer, tested, reliable product as opposed to buying on the street. We always stress that to our customers.
I'll add one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
On the
Leo.
medicinal side, you need a license.
Right.
So we can't sell, the customers who buy medicinal, they have a separate
Right.
ID. to
Right.
use. Hence recreational is for anyone over 21, so
Right.
it has a larger.
The medicinal customers need a license, you're saying?
Yes, to go into a medicinal dispensary.
Right, you have to get, like I said,
It's not, I forget, I don't know what the right term is.
yeah, I want to say like
Some kind of card?
like
Yeah.
certificate or
Oh, yeah,
card
yeah.
in order to
And-
access that. But my whole thing is, and I know Pascal jumped on, and maybe that's a question to ask, but I could tell you that we try to speak to providers to see if we can get a provider to take the steps or do what needs to be done in order to make medicinal cannabis available. Period. I just know that there's really nothing uptown, and so maybe that will be changing. Because now we've been doing this for a few years now, but that's something that we're very conscious of as a CB, and always looking at new things that we can work on to provide more resources to our residents. So, and then the last bullet under past projects and events, as you mentioned, Leo participated in an event that was put on by our task force. And the goal of that event was to increase educational awareness around opportunity. So besides the job opportunities for people who are of legal age to work, let's say in the dispensary, we also were trying to reach out to the different courses that were available in some of our different educational programs that focus on the scientific side of growing cannabis and all the other things that are associated with cannabis that we might be aware of. Unfortunately, like I said, we didn't get the type of turnout for that event that we wanted because it was in June, but I would like to see if we can do a follow-up to that event and still reach out to those partners that didn't get to join us in June, and maybe look to do it in April. So do it earlier in the year so that we can have a better turnout. But our goal is to be in the community and to provide information and to be a resource and to partner with our legal partners as well, so that they are more familiar with the people who live, at least in CB9, and our residents become more familiar with you, and it helps to increase your visibility. So those are some of the thoughts in terms of us sharing past projects and events. Now, in terms of updates, I don't see the officer on yet. And I don't see City College on yet either. We do a lot of work with the Harlem Health Initiative, which is located at City College. And they have helped us in the past in terms of addressing a lot of issues, from doing surveys to just get a sense from the community, their thoughts around what's happening with cannabis, the presence of dispensaries, all types of stuff. They were gathering data to help us become better at doing our work and outreach in the community. And then maybe, hopefully they'll join us. I'll send a text to one of the presenters. We also so then we'll kind of jump around. In terms of old business, maybe you want to speak to that in terms of what we did for this particular issue.
So yes, we were reaching out to, as far as our cannabis tax revenue, we were reaching out to Assembly Member Micah Lasher. We sent an email to his office on the 5th of this month, regarding the tax revenue and to roll out a plan to communicate. We wanted to invite him also to the meeting here, as well as any other future meetings. We're not successful yet, but we are still harassing. No, we're not harassing, but we are still working on making him available to be present here. You know, I think that once we have the assemblyman member here, we can also get his team to, you know, maybe help us with getting more engagement with the community, and you know, especially with this task force here. And we also, let's see, I believe his he has an assistant that I'm going to also reach out to again. Again, like I said, we have not gotten to have anything solid yet, but we are definitely going to have him in the future join us for our meetings, as well as some of the events that we plan on having.
Yeah, our main reason for reach out to the member is to see if we can get a better sense idea of how the money that has been secured through the tax revenue that we
Yes.
just mentioned. We know that this industry reached over $1 billion by this point. And our understanding is the money that was secured through taxation was supposed to be reinvested in the community. So we want to understand how that money is being allocated, or can we weigh in to make sure it gets reinvested in a way that benefits well, I'm going to speak for RCB. So RCB, because of the harm that came in the first place for everything around arrests and other things pertaining to cannabis in our community in the first place. So now we're at a point where there's supposed to be righting a wrong, and if money's being secured, we want to know how the money's being spent. So we reached out to that member, and I'm hoping that there will be another opportunity and time for us to get a better sense of how those tax dollars were spent, or will be spent. And maybe we'll be able to get more information, since we are going to be speaking to our person from the Office of Cannabis Management. If she can't answer that, then she won't. But that is an old business item that we'll keep presenting on the agenda until we finally get it addressed. So in terms of new business, I think both of you probably have heard this year, over the summer, from the Office of Cannabis Management, there were two issues that came up that my ears perked up for, and I'm like, well, I want to find out what that means. And I know I certainly went on the website, but we have a relationship with OCM. They've been very good partners to us. So I said, instead of speculating, let's just hear from the horse's mouth. So we do have somebody from the Office of Cannabis Management, and I am going to welcome her. Her name is Pascal Bernard, and she is going to take the time to help clarify for us those two issues. And if you have the agenda in front of you, one of those issues pertains to the rules regarding distance for legal dispensaries. Now, that might not obviously relate to you guys because you're already established, but I think it's still worth having Pascal help us understand what is happening now, because it was a big deal in the news and the governor even spoke to it. The other item was the implementation of a new system for cultivators and retailers. So something was mentioned of that system, and I surely wasn't clear about what that was. So I'm hoping, of course, Pascal can speak to that as well. And I see more people jumped on. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that said, Pascal, why don't you begin? And I guess you have a presentation, so you want to be able to share, I assume, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
it looks like I can.
Can you?
Do you see my presentation?
Not yet. Oh,
Yes.
now we do.
Mhm.
Okay. Sorry. Slideshow, here we go. All right, there we go. Good evening, everybody. My name is Pascal Bernard. I am from the Office of Cannabis Management. I'm Deputy Director for Intergovernmental Affairs. This is just a really brief presentation based on specifically what Monique asked. So the distance requirement, as she said, it's been in the news. So over the last year, Acting Executive Director Felicia Reed directed the Office of Cannabis Management to conduct a thorough review of the agency's practices and decision-making protocols to ensure compliance with mandates of the MRTA. OCM recently identified that the process by which we've been assessing adult use retail dispensary location distance requirements relative to schools first established in 2002 is not consistent with cannabis law. And that means the earlier guidance does not comply with cannabis law, section 72.6. The office will assess distance from the main entrance of a dispensary location to the nearest property line boundary of a school ground as defined in education law, section 4092. This is a straight line measure. Okay, so I'm going to say it again. We're going to go from the entrance of the dispensary to the nearest property line boundary of the school's ground. And so that is that's what we're going to be doing. And so we had
That changed, Pascal, from what was done before?
it was door to door.
Oh.
So property line versus door. Is there much of a difference?
Yes.
Okay.
So property line includes school ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so not necessarily main entrance or things like that. And so the office identifies several licensees locations that did not comply with the law. The governor's office and OCM will be proposing aggressively pursuing legislation to address the licensees whose businesses are at locations in conflict with cannabis law. So the main takeaway here is passage of proposed legislation is really what is necessary, and there's no guarantee, although the state legislature has said, many in the state legislature have said that they will work with us to find a solution. And as there is risk that legislation to allow licensees to remain at their current location may not pass, and OCM cannot renew licenses at locations that do not comply with cannabis law. And so the license, we also identified several applicants because this impacted both people who were licensed and people who were applicants. And so if the legislation does not get amended, the applicant will be required to find a new location before moving ahead in the application process. In addition to proposed legislation and to lessening the burden of this practice correction, the governor's office, OCM, and the Empire State Development have coordinated to create applicant relief program. And it's funded at $15 million. And if there are any applicants that are impacted, they should go on our website to get further information on the applicant relief program. And again, the applicant relief program is only it's only for impacted applicants, not for licensees. And then the other issue that Monique wanted was seed to sale. And in early August, the office temporarily suspended the deadline for license integration with BioTrack due to new partnerships and other seed to sale vendor metric. This pause allowed OCM to fully assess the implications and opportunities of partnership for both the agency and the licensees. Following a thorough review, OCM has determined that the transition for metric STS solution is in the best interest of New York's regulated cannabis market. The office continues to coordinate steps to formalize this transition and is already working with metric to transition seamlessly. Together, we are committed to implementation by early 2026, and we will continue to share next steps about implementation at our board meetings. And you can find information on our board meetings on our website. Additionally, I encourage everybody to please sign up for our newsletter. That is the best way to stay in touch with what's happening and all of these changes that are occurring, and to also know what is coming up with the office. Because when I logged in, I did hear conversation about medical cannabis, and we're actually having a medical symposium on November 7th. It will be on Long Island. I will put that information in the chat. And we have something else coming up too that is related to medical. So I'll also put that in the chat. And I'm happy to answer any questions as best as I can.
I'm gonna start because I feel like I'm always trying to learn and get ahead. The going back to the distancing question, I guess for people who are applying and I guess don't have a brick and mortar establishment, that isn't I guess it won't be as much an issue because they have a chance to go look for another location that is within the proper rules and regulations of OCM. For people who are already established and running, are they expected to have to relocate now based on the new rules?
Again, we are working with the state, the governor's office, the Office of Cannabis Management, and the state legislature are working together and looking for, a legislative remedy for this.
I see. So it's still being worked through.
Yes, we're still in the process of doing all of that. And keep in mind that the state legislature is out of session right now, and the new session begins in January.
Oh, it does?
Yep.
I thought they were on break and coming back until the end of the year. Okay, so right now nothing is being done to penalize anybody because the goal is to work and support those legal businesses.
Yes, the goal is to find a solution.
Okay, so that's good to know. The other question pertaining to the system, the seed to sale, this is a system, maybe I don't know because I'm not in the business, but this is a system that should be available to legal dispensaries and is something that has to be tweaked before it's released or provided.
So there was a merger, and we had to make an assessment of, what this meant for the industry. And so again, we're committed to implementation by early 2026.
Okay.
Oh, I do have a question. So would your office be a resource to also help others who may be looking to be licensed as well? Like they can get all the information there just so that if I wanted to, share this information, they are able to go on this site and find out how they can also be licensed?
Yes, we are the only licensing entity. So the state is the only entity that licenses for cannabis from seed to sale. So we have seven different license types. Once someone is licensed, they then work with the municipality. They have to send notice as part of the application product process. They have to send notification to municipality. And then the municipality, in the case of New York City, it is the community board. And each community board has its own processes for that. When someone gets final license, when the board finally licenses somebody, they then go to their municipality and they have to follow all municipal laws and regulations. And so we license them for cannabis, whether it is retail or processing or growing or what have you. But the only two license types that require municipal advisory opinions are the retail dispensary and the consumption lounges. Right as of now, we do not have any consumption lounges. We don't have that license type out as of yet. But when it does come out, that is the license type that requires municipal notification and an advisory opinion from the municipality. So currently, the only license type that requires that, again, is retail dispensary.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think that was helpful in terms of understanding how things are moving forward. And it seems like things are in process right now. But
Yes, and I'll send the slide deck to the community board tomorrow. I'll make sure that you two are copied.
very good. I appreciate that. And then we'll make sure it's available. Leo or Justin, do you have any questions?
Do you have an ETA on when the lounge or on-premise licenses will become available?
No, we do not. We're currently working on all the regulations. Before there can be anything, we have to put out regulations. And once we put out the regulations, there is a 60-day public comment period. And then we review. And if we make any substantial changes to the regulations, then we have to put them back out for another 45-day public comment period. Then we do final regulations. It goes to the Cannabis Control Board. They vote on it. And then we send it to the Department of State, and they, do their due diligence with it, and then it becomes law. So we have a lot of steps to go. We're still in the process of drafting.
Got it. And do you know or have any visibility into whether that license will have the same proximity rules as recreational?
Oh, yeah.
I can't answer that right now because we're still in the process of drafting.
Okay.
That was a good question.
Yeah, that was. I
Very
would
good
think
question, yes.
have it in like the dispensary, maybe like in the backyard or something, but that's just for another.
Well,
that's for another
and that makes sense.
Yeah.
If there's a establishment already set up and they have the ability to expand, it would make sense to ask that question.
Right.
So,
And one more question.
Mhm.
Do you know if OCM has any plans to issue new recreational licenses? Is there a new round of recreational licenses that are going to be issued?
You mean retail?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, retail licenses.
We are still working through the November and December queue. And so that's where we are focused as it relates to retail at this moment.
when you say the queue, you mean people who already applied?
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure I understand.
Mhm.
Justin, did you have a question?
No, I think we're all set. This was good.
Okay, now I know one of our members from City College is on, Deborah Levine. Thank you, Deborah, for joining us, and another community member. I don't know if any of you have, hi, Deborah. Deborah, do you have a question?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And Carl, I don't know how much of the presentation you heard, but do you have a question?
How you doing, Monique? It's good to see you all the time and hear from you.
Thank you.
I had a question, but it's not regarding any of this. Well, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Carl Reynoso. I am Gold Aces LLC CEO, and I am an applicant. And I'm currently awaiting in the December queue for a provisional license because I didn't want to go through all this headache that's going on now. Thank God that I'm still in the waiting queue and I don't have to deal with all this relocation and losing my business or even having to think of having to go through any losses. Is there any word on the December queue? I mean, there's a lot of social equity work we're waiting, and it was written in the law. So I mean, I just wanted. I know it has nothing to do kind of like what, but I just wanted to. I know a lot of people are waiting. And what's the update on that? Are we like 2027 or?
I'm sorry, I don't have any updates on that at this time. You are welcome to come to the next Cannabis Control Board meeting and certainly can talk about, can ask that question and can talk about it there. I've also put in the chat, we do grand rounds, which is where we have medical professionals talk about cannabis and things like that. So it's in the chat. It is virtual. I recommend that the next one is going to be on the 30th of this month. I recommend that, people check it out.
Okay, I will. And thank you very much, Ms. Pasquale. Hopefully we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
All right.
I love it.
Thank you
I
so
don't-
much.
All right,
Have a good
so
night.
were there any other questions before Pascal leaves? Going once, going twice. All right, I guess Pascal, you could get back to your business. Thank you
All
for
right.
jumping.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
I will be in
Thank
touch.
you.
And I'll look
Yeah.
for your email tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
All right. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Deborah, I want to say once again, thank you for joining. And you've always been such a good partner in terms of the work that is, from City College. And I wanted to know if you had any updates to share. Hopefully you had a good summer. And do you have any updates you want to share around what's happening in the cannabis space? If you don't have a lot, that's fine too for you to say. And do you have any comments regarding what you heard from Pascal from OCM?
Yeah, so good evening, everyone, and thank you, Monique. It's always a pleasure. Excuse the voice if I'm sounding a little hoarse. Just been talking a great deal from the American Day Parade and stuff. So just bear with me. I have to be honest, I am very concerned about the 100 and I think it's 86 possible establishments that fall under this sort of potential of having, if the legislator doesn't step in and change the rules, potentially these folks will have to move in 2 years, which is, for most folks, a really huge financial burden. I think between that and sort of the concerns about the exception rule for folks who don't fall within that, and then how do community boards process that, is something that we're still sort of looking at. And I'm trying to work on some toolkit items for you all to be able to use so that when folks come to present, you'll all be able to keep track of some of these issues. So hopefully
Okay.
within the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to share some of those tools with you.
Very good. We appreciate that because it seems like, yeah, something is always happening and changing, and we're trying to pivot and get the most current and accurate information to share in the community. And I know it can be frustrating. So for
And
people.
Monique, just to be really clear, there's a huge difference between, oh, sorry, y'all. Helicopter going over.
Oh, okay.
There's a huge difference between the front door and the property line. So, I mean, if you think about the size of generally the schools, and where they are between the actual building itself, the playgrounds, that could really have a very strong impact, especially in communities like Community Board 9, where you don't necessarily have as much commercial space available as
Right.
some maybe potential other community boards. So like you guys in 9 and 12 are faced with some really interesting challenges in terms of finding adequate spacing for dispensaries, both medical and recreational.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I asked that question, I was being sincere because I'm thinking, like, I don't know what the property line is. It's like it's not clearly defined. And
Yes, it is. It's very clearly defined. The
right.
property line is definitely clearly defined. It goes literally from corner to corner. So it's including all playgrounds, not just the building.
Wow.
So you think about the entrance and where the entrance is in proximity to the property line, it could be down at the other end of the block. It could literally cut off an entire block.
Wow. Yeah. See, when I asked that question, I was like, And what were you going to say, Leo?
So my license
Your license is impacted.
is by the old rule, current by the new rule technically.
Wow. Yeah. See, so I'm hoping for you that she mentioned this applicant relief program.
That's only for applicants.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's
like-
right.
So
So,
there's a lot of
so you're
moving pieces.
right. So
There are
you're,
applicants who are waiting
Mhm,
and now they're not operational, but they have a location,
right.
but their location is still in the application phase because they have to go through inspections, but now they have the proximity issue. Then there are operating licenses such as myself. Then there are people with provisional licenses who are looking to get a location approved prior to renovation that they're on hold. So there's a lot of different actors that are.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. And does it impact you guys, Justin?
According to my knowledge now, it does not.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, and then correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who may know, didn't they mention something about somebody, like maybe some sort of a grandfather thing for people who were possibly like affected when the rules changed, like for the people who
It
were
would have to be
previously?
it would have to go through legislation. That's the
Yes, okay.
problem.
Got it.
So it's not something that OCM itself can
Has the
actually
authority.
do. It actually has to be, that's why the concern is that they don't come back until January. So everybody's sort of just hanging on a thread.
It's in
And even
limbo, yeah.
then, there's no guarantee that the legislators are going to grandfather in because it impacts the entire state.
Yeah, it does.
That's right. I
Understood.
know Governor Hochul, I thought, made mention that she didn't want to penalize those entities that were doing the right thing. I heard her say that, but you're right. The fact that there's no movement, and I didn't realize the legislature was out until January. That's kind of, I'm kind of stunned. That's all I have to say. I'm like, yeah, that's very frustrating for people to be.
Yeah, so there's a lot just sort of hanging,
Got
just, for the fact that you use the wrong map or the interpretation, that's a lot. And I think it's like 186
186 total
across the state.
upstate
Correct.
and downstate. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that down. So that's wow.
186 operating. And
Right.
then there's
Correct.
who is a greater number that we don't know how many of those are.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll keep our eyes and ears open and keep pushing.
Yeah, and I'm not making any distinction, and please don't interpret my saying only 186. I guess when I say that, meaning literally they have sunk their money into putting bricks and mortar and
Right.
all of the things that are necessary. So to ask someone potentially that they would have to move in 2 years just seems
Also,
crueler than usual.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of moving parts. So once again, this is something, I mean, once again, CB9 isn't over inundated with dispensaries. And so for people who want to apply, they have this notice to work with, but for the two of, well, I guess you at this point, because Justin seems to believe that they're okay, but just in general, that's really tough.
Yeah.
And so, once again, all we can do is to continue being in communication with OCM and sharing information with, our community members so that we can be supportive. And that's all we can do.
Monique, maybe the other thing also is the, as we're talking with elected officials, that we just remind them that, again, this is about community choice and supporting community, and they have an obligation to follow through with what they promise. So maybe encouraging the legislation to make sure that they take care of these folks. I mean, that could be one way without penalizing them, that, the community boards collectively could have that conversation. Something to
Well,
think about.
no, I agree, Deborah. What I was going to say is we reached out to Micah Lasher. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, because I think he's the head of economic, or he's one of the co-chairs of that task force. So we reached out to him because our initial question was to understand where the money that was secured through taxes, how that money is going to be allocated and spent. Now, I didn't ask Pascal that question. I was gonna see if she could answer it. But I mean, I'll follow up, but we'll also follow up with that legislator because he expressed an interest in working with us. So maybe we can start with him as well and see where he's at in terms of helping to push this legislation or change to legislation. So I think that's something we should try to do. So, Deborah, is there anything else you want to share with us in terms of any updates from the Harlem Health Initiative, especially as it relates to cannabis?
No, we're still also trying to, be supportive of the fact that we still don't have any medical dispensaries in Upper Manhattan. So I get the whole conversation about, the conferences and all of that. But again, if folks can only access medical in Midtown or having to travel up into the Bronx, that also presents a problem.
Yeah, you might have missed it when I mentioned that, and maybe that's something to work on as we try to think about the next event we want to host. How can we look at bringing those types of resources to CB9 that could benefit those in our community who might need access to that. So I know that was something that I was particularly interested in, and I've mentioned it every time I get a chance. And I always share with my story because my mother was sick with cancer, and I got her access to medical cannabis, and she used it until she passed. So, I understand that that could be a form of relief for some people so that they don't have to suffer. So I'm a big supporter of that. And if there's anything, thank you, Deborah, that could be done to support people in our community so that they can just have a better quality of life, then I want to make sure I do that as well. So that's something that I hope we can crack this year.
Yes.
Also, talk about responsible use. It was shared with us an article. And I'm sorry, I was hoping to find that article and make copies of it, but I'll certainly look for it and share it electronically with those who are here and making sure it's on our website. But we talk about trying to educate people so that they can make educated choices and have access to quality product, knowing what they're getting. And I know that there have been recent articles printed about cannabis and was a psychosis. I think that was the title of the article. And I think it was circling around one, know what you're accessing in terms of the product, and then I guess doing so in a responsible way. So, you have it? Okay, so we'll make sure we send it out. It says changes in incident schizophrenia diagnosis associated with cannabis use disorder after cannabis legalization. So I think that's a very interesting article. Once again, it's a matter of just sharing information with people so they are aware and they can be educated consumers. So we'll share that with you at some point when we pull together the minutes. And if there's nothing else that you wanted to add, Deborah, I, I, I will let you go because I know that you were traveling and I appreciated that you jumped on. But I always want to share with you that we appreciate the work that your team does. And we feel very fortunate to be able to partner with you. And our cannabis dispensary members, no, I want them to become familiar with you as well, because Deborah is here to support the work that's being done with, in the community with the dispensary. So I want to make sure you know that.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thanks, Monique. Anytime, guys. Appreciate it. Again, it's about helping people understand the legislation. It's about trying to hold people true to their word. So always happy to come, and my apologies for not personally being there. My flight got canceled. But definitely will send you over some information that you all as a board can look at, and happy to help anyway.
All right, very good. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Okay. And usually we have our officers from the 30th precinct attend to give us any updates pertaining to any activity in the community. My understanding is there hasn't been too much of any concerns expressed to the 30th precinct anyway. And especially since the two dispensaries we have would be covered by the 30th precinct, that's why we usually have them come. I guess when we get another dispensary, and if it happens to be further down in the community board, then we'll have somebody from our other precinct, 26, share with us. But they didn't come, and I think because they're at another meeting, and there must be not too much happening, which is good news. I know our officers try to make sure they're in the community, engaged with. And I know, Leo, you have had contact probably with the officers from the 30th precinct. And Justin, I'm sure if you haven't, they'll probably stop by as well, simply because they want to be aware and familiar with everybody that's in the community. So, no, so that's just an FY. I guess the door now is officially closed. So, I think that covers everything on the agenda. Unless there are other additional comments or questions, certainly we'll take the minutes gathered and make sure we get them out to everyone. And follow up with any attachments and some of the meetings that were shared with us by OCM. And I want to stress OCM, I know they do tend to have meetings quite frequently. I want to say, I feel like every 3 months or so, and those meetings are accessible virtually. So I try to jump on when I can, but I would say, Leo and Justin, if there's anyone from your team that can jump on, you should, because they're supposed to be there to support you guys and to provide information so you know how to operate. And, we have a direct line to them. So hopefully we'll also hear about any updates pertaining to these two issues that we just had Pascal address. And I'll also make sure that we share the PowerPoint with you. Do you want to say anything, Shantae?
No, just wanted to thank you for all participating, and thought this was regardless of the size, a very productive meeting.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The goal is to make sure we get, information out there. Did you want to say something, Leo?
No, just thank you. Thank you for organizing. I appreciate you both.
Justin, before you hang up, do you please mind sharing your name? I just want to only write who's in attendance.
Justin Stewart.
Stewart, okay, good. Stewart with a T at the end?
Yes,
Or-
Stewart.
Got it. So I got everybody. And then Carl. Okay, it is us. So I think with that then said, Carl, did you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I got in a little late, so I didn't get everything. But yeah, we do need to start looking at where the money is going from the taxes. If we could try to push some kind of audit system, because I think they don't have an audit system yet. I think that's very important because they did, promise. I think it was a promise, and we need to hold, like Deborah said, we need to hold them accountable on that promise You know, a lot of people did suffer. I am one of them. And a lot of other guys that I know went through a lot. And it's important, at least not to, maybe not to us, at least to the next generation, our children,
Yeah.
to make sure that they are taken care of and that they have resources and opportunities pushed to them. Second, I wanted to say it's very important that we support people like Leo in his journey right now. And I didn't know that he was kind of one of those dispensaries. And the reason is because he's part of our community. I
That's
met
correct.
him at so he's one of us. And
That's correct.
we need us here. And to know that he has to be pushed out to maybe somewhere that it's not in this community, knowing that he's part of us and it's basically our face. You know, we need to support him. We need to make sure that if we could, it doesn't happen. You know, because it's us. You know,
That's right.
I'm Latino, and we need to make sure that we're here and we're here to stay. You know.
So Carl, I know that I couldn't have said it any better, and that's why we'll stay on this and make sure that Leo can stay here, and we can support anybody else who might want to be in our community as well. Because once again, it's a job, it's an opportunity in so many levels, and we want to support positive engagement in our community. So I couldn't disagree or not disagree. I couldn't agree with you more.
Couldn't agree more.
So I wanted to make sure I said that correctly. So
My Black and Latinos for everybody.
that's right. We're here.
No,
We're here.
I'm just emphasizing he's a Latino. We know,
No, I know,
there's a lot,
I
you know,
I'm
but
not
it's all of us. It could be Asian if they're from here and their families are from here and grew up here, and you understand, and we were part of that suffering. You know, we should be allowed to stay. You know,
That's right.
You know,
Well,
you could be
that's
blue, green. And
100%.
I'm over there. You could be Latino, Black, Chinese, Martian, Palladian. It doesn't matter as long as if they're from the community board and they're in this business for the community board, then they should stay. You know,
yes,
they-
absolutely.
and I emphasize that with Harlem. You know, if you're from Harlem and you got the opportunity to be in Harlem, to be in your home, and to know all your people and to serve your people and to show your people that you can turn this around and you can be great like every other businessman, you deserve to be there.
Very good. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Was somebody else trying to say anything?
I think Justin.
No, not me. Nope.
Well, then if not, then I guess we're gonna move towards conclusion. So I make a motion that we conclude this task force meeting at 7:45. And would you like to second that motion?
I second that motion.
Very good. So we are going to conclude and we'll work on the minutes and get them out to you guys ASAP. And like I said, this is the first meeting. We'll do some more promotion and have our second meeting before the holidays, November 20th. And we'll figure out what are the issues that are of major concern to bring up and address by November. Because the weather will be colder and it'll be darker and all that stuff. So anyway,
And the
but
minutes will be available where?
we're gonna make the minutes available by sharing them and also getting them up on our website. And I know we have an archive and there's probably a link, so I'll make sure that when we send it out, that you guys get it. I can't tell you right now because I have to ask my office team.
Okay, not a problem.
It'll be available because this is
We work
considered
together.
public, so.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop recording and wish you all a good evening. Get home safe and thank you for joining us.
Take care, Justin.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you.